Hi guys, I'm Chris Granrud. I'm here with good friend and colleague Matt Breuer. We're with the ice team and we're on Rainy Lake. We just finished the coldest December in the history of International Falls, and January is not starting out much warmer. Chances are it could be a little bit of a challenging bite, but we'll figure it out.
Got him.
We're the ice team.
Bring it.
$227,000-acre Rainy Lake, located on the border of U.S. and Canada, is a complex system of bays, islands, and river inflows and outflows. Finding walleyes on a body of water as big as Rainy can certainly seem daunting. Add unseasonably cold temperatures to the mix, and the task may appear even more difficult. Ice Team angler Matt Breuer and Rainy Lake guide Chris Granrud are up for the challenge. The anglers will target deeper water and employ a 1-2 punch consisting of jigging and dead stick presentations.
You'll be just off that break, Matt. I'm just on top.
It's cold out, but the bite is just about to start warming up.
This one just came in out of nowhere and absolutely blasted it. That's a nice Rainy Lake walleye there. Now if a guy were looking for eater fish, that would be perfect. That one came out of about 28, 29 feet of water. Absolutely destroyed my jig. I was actually thinking it was going to be a really big fish. He had zero hesitation, got that one on the blade spoon with just the shiner head, and I don't think it would have mattered what I would have had on much there. He came in hungry, so we'll probably not keep any fish today, so we're going to let that one go. Get him unhooked here. He actually, kind of a rarity, he was hooked in the bottom lip. Typically you're getting them in the side of the mouth or the snout. Seems like when you do get them in the bottom jaw there, they don't seem to get away very easily. We're gonna let that one go. In prepping for the trip, I decided to call Chris and kind of figure out what the fish have been doing, how they've been reacting to different baits, what kind of structure they're using, depth we're going to be fishing, and I kind of came to the conclusion that we were going to be treating it almost like if I were to take my family out to eat. I take my kids out, they don't want the same thing that me and my wife want. You need a smorgasbord, and that's kind of what we're doing here. We're utilizing the 1-2 punch. Some of the fish are going to want spoons, some are going to want a dead stick with a full minnow, so Chris is kind of running with a blade jig with a full minnow. I'm running with a spoon with a half minnow or a head, and then we both got bobber rods down with different colors. So we're giving them a full variety, and we're also setting up in a little different areas, close enough to shout, but far enough away so that we're giving the fish a little different opportunities. Some fish will strike at a certain height in the water column, and they want to stay in a certain depth, so we're trying to cater to that.
Here he comes, here he comes. Ooh, what is that? There he is, there he is. That's on that blade spoon or the blade jig, that white and silver. I'll pull that transducer out of there. That's a solid fish right there. Once again, it's that white blade jig with that silver back. Oh, there's a nice fish. Oh, really nice dark color with that fish, right in the snoot of the mouth there. And you can kind of see this, this blade jig. It's got a nice little silver pattern to it, and then a white pattern on the back side, and it's a really good imitation for these Ciscos and lake shiners we have in the system here. So anytime you're seeing fish like this 10 to 15 feet down, you'll see a lot of these Ciscos come in, they'll flash in and flash out. Be very, very cautious of those fish up there, because a lot of times the walleyes that come in might be just outside your cone to look exactly like those Ciscos. So every time I see one, I always reel up to it right away, and this one paid off. Nice fish. Rainy Lake can be a pretty intimidating body of water. For anglers coming to fish it for the first time, we cover 227,000 acres. Rainy Lake, being so massive, it actually fishes like 10 different fisheries. Whether you're fishing the northwest side, the northeast side, or like today on the southern side, on the U.S. side of Rainy Lake, really can make a difference in how you're going to set up and how you're going to fish. Typically speaking, on Rainy Lake, early in the season, December to the first part of January, we're going to focus a lot of our efforts shallow. Late fall, Ciscos and Tullibee will spawn on Rainy Lake in shallow water. And what happens is those big walleyes and big pike get left in those areas still searching out the Tullibee and Cisco. And when those Tullibee and Cisco eventually start to migrate back into the main basin of the water, fishermen should be migrating back with the fish. We've moved out into some deeper structure. We're fishing anywhere from 30 to 40 feet of water. We're fishing rock piles, we're fishing the edge of mud and sand, trying to find a fish that's actually transitioning back out to Rainy Lake.
Oop, there's a fish coming up. Ooh, this isn't gonna take long, he's charging hard. That's a heavy fish. Getting some good head shakes. I'm guessing this is gonna be a decent one. This one came in and just crushed that blade spoon. Oh, caught the transducer there. Oh yeah, there's a fat Rainy Lake walleye. Beautiful fish. You can tell these fish up here are not starving. They are absolute chunkers. Even these 17 to 20 inch fish are just plump. So you can tell they got a good forage base and are feeding really well. And as you can see, he just crushed that spoon. He was not going anywhere. I'm really happy with fish like that. It's amazing how dark they are. The bellies are so amazing compared to what you see most places. You don't get that deep white flesh. It's even speckled on the bottom. So really pretty fish, and again, just chunkers. But we'll let that one go. Try to get another one.
Ice Team Tactics, brought to you by Arctic Cat. Share our passion.
I'm going to discuss a little bit as a fishing guide how I'm getting all of my gear out onto the ice and exactly what I'm bringing along. I'm using the Bearcat 570 XT. It's a wide track sled. It basically can get me in and out of some of the worst conditions. There's some safety things that you have to have along. Number one, I've got a clam packed shovel. It doesn't take a lot of room. I'm not taking my big shovel from home. I've got it on the back of my rack, but if I were to get stuck or come across somebody else that's stuck, you have to have that shovel along. I also have a tow strap along. If I were to get in some really horrible slush and I can't get myself out, hopefully one of the other sleds that are along can pull me out, or with this big Bearcat, hopefully I'll be pulling somebody else out. Bring extra gloves and hats. So in my snowmobile, underneath the seat, I've probably got 4 extra pairs of ice armor gloves. I've got extra hats. It's pretty common to see people transporting their augers and their snowmobiles on the front of the sled. And in our case, we need to have that protected in line inside the skis, so if we're going through tight portages, we're not knocking the head of the auger off. I've got my Big Buddy heater on my rack here, and when it comes to mobile transportation, if we're running and gunning a long ways, I like to use the 1-pound cylinders. I know other people will probably haul a bigger tank along with them. It's just easier for me to pack 5 or 6 of the 1-pound cylinders with the Big Buddy heater. You'll also notice that inside my rack here, I've got most all of my gear inside coolers. A long time ago, I learned that just a simple cooler can protect all of your gear, keep it from getting wet, keep it from getting snowed on. Mobile ice fishing transportation doesn't get any better than that here on Rainy Lake.
Nope, we got a bobber down here. Got him. Finally got a fish to hit the bobber rod. Been getting most of the action on the jigging rods here. So there, I see the bobber. Oh yeah, there's a good eater. Nothing huge, but that is a beautiful eater. If you were up here to keep some fish, that's about perfect. About a 14.5, 15-inch fish. Getting a lot of fish looking, and trying to get some of these on the bobber. And this is actually the first time I've seen my bobber dump. So it's nice to get some of those bonus fish when you're jigging and your bobber goes down. I wasn't paying any attention, and just all of a sudden I look over and it disappeared. So that's a good bonus fish, and like I said, if you were looking for eaters, that is perfect. Delicious looking Rainy Lake walleye there. I want to talk a little bit about equipment, go over some of the stuff we're using up here. My main rod is the Daze Guide split handle hybrid rod. I'm using a 30-inch, got that down to some monofilament. I know Chris has been using some braid, both seem to be working. Fairly stained waters, you're not having to deal with too much on line shyness. I've mostly been using the clam blade spoon, and I'm a big believer in gold colors for dark water. Seems to get some sparkle and sheen down there. Chris has been going with some whites and silver because there's a lot of Cisco in the lake, and that's their main forage base right now. Those 2 colors have been working the best. And then on bobber rods, we've been going with shorter rods. I got a 28-inch Daze Guide Legacy combo here. On my bobber rod, I'm using same color. I have switched it up a few times, but that glow red with the gold back seems to really be working. Been setting my bobber 2-3 feet off bottom, and I've just got 6-pound monofilament on here. During the slow times when we're not marking a lot of fish, I have been switching it up to something like a Psycho Shad. Again, gold. I also tried the perch color, and it really makes a ruckus down there, gets some of those fish a little more active, a little more curious. Even if they won't hit the Psycho Shad, if I can bring them in, maybe they're going to hit my bobber rod. That's the equipment we've been using, and it seems to be working well.
That is a fish. There he is. There he is. I'll tell you what, it's absolutely unbelievable. Come up to every single one of these fish that you see. I mean, 9 times out of 10, they're Cisco's, but when they're fish, they're big fish. That's a good fish there. Back reel on that thing. I like the back reel on most all of these fish, and it's not because the drag isn't set right. It's just that I feel like I can cushion the fight of that fish a little bit better. The main thing you want to be concerned with when you're fighting these big fish is not necessarily breaking your line. Ooh, easy, sweetheart. But it's basically to make sure that you don't put too much tension to pull that hook out of it. Oh, he's got my bobber rod tube. He's got bobber rod and the blade jig. Get you untangled here. I have a sneaking suspicion when I'm done with this fish, I'm gonna have a pretty nice monkey knot to deal with. Thanks for all the memories, sweetheart.
To learn more about the exciting fishing opportunities on Rainy Lake and to book an unforgettable guide trip, be sure you visit RainyDaysOutdoors.com. ICE Team would like to thank the following partners for their support: Clam, Bring It, Ice Arbor, Thorn Brothers, Custom Rod and Tackle, Arctic Cat, Share Our Passion, Jason Mitchell Elite Series, The Original Mr. Heater, Recycled Fish, Vexilon, Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter, FishUSA.com, America's Tackle Shop, Nebulous, emergency flotation device, Vicious Fishing, Zippo Outdoor, Bass Pro Shop, Tatula, and Gander Mountain. We live outdoors.